My guest today is the Vice President of Production for Hoffman Cabinets in Mansfield, Texas, one of the largest custom cabinet producers in the United States. After meeting him at their facility earlier this year, I knew I had to have him on the podcast to discuss the growth and the scale at which they do business. We discuss the pros and cons of high volume work and some of the growing pains that it takes to get to over 500 employees and 40 full homes a day. I'm really excited to share my conversation with my friend, Mr. Jacob Hoffman. Looking good, Jacob. I think we're set. Glad to have you, man. This is going to be a fun chat. I was originally down, I think in March, and actually got to visit your facility. And I think I told you by text after I left, I was like, man, those conversations are just so fun. And I'd been thinking about doing this podcast, and like that was like the last moment. I'm like, all right, I got to do this. And so thanks for being one of the early guests to kind of recreate what we were chatting about. I think that's cool. So
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about Hoffman in general. Let's actually, I usually start with the origin story, but I'd love to actually start with maybe the scale, because then the origin story is going to be, I think, a little even more impressive for where you've gotten. How many employees are you currently have? What kind of volume do you do? Give people a sense for the business.
So right now we're a little bit over 500 employees. We're doing right now about 40 homes a day. So that's full kitchen and bathrooms.
Wow.
Custom homes, tract homes for nationwide home builders.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Nationwide, but happens to be all in North Texas. So 95% of our work is in North Texas. We'll do a little bit out in Midland and whatnot, but it's all mostly right here.
Wow. 40 full homes a day.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Every day.
Oh, yeah. Every day.
It's crazy, man.
Yep.
All right. So I think that's a good spot to set the stage for kind of the origin story, how it all started.
Right.
I'd love to kind of walk through where it came from.
So did not start with me.
Yeah.
I didn't do this all myself.
Yeah.
But cabinets in general started with my great grandfather. So he got out of World War II. The government gave him a little bit of money, $40, I think. And
really?
yeah, yep,
Wow.
$40, and he went and got some hand tools and got to work. He borrowed trucks to, help deliver the cabinets. He didn't have a vehicle, and he did it for a while. Had a son, several sons, and they got into it as well. So my grandfather was the oldest of his sons, and he started ultimately what Hoffman Cabinets is today, and that was in 1967.
Wow.
So that started in Fort Worth initially, and then it kind of moved down to Kennedale area, and then eventually made it into Mansfield, where we're at today. So we're in Mansfield, Texas, and basically it was up to a 20 to 30 man shop when he was around. And then we got an unexpected death with him in 2004. And that's when my dad ultimately kind of had to look himself in the mirror and say, what are we going to do here? And he, in his own words, he says it unlocked his cabinet making gene. And he went to work, and it's grown to where it is today. So a lot of that success came from getting into the production builders. So previously they did work, mainly just custom, bigger homes, custom work. They got into the molding world as well. So that was one of my dad's first, adventures on his own, was to develop the molding side of things. So they started what was called the molding source. They delivered moldings to cabinet shops around here. They ended up doing work for like architectural millwork companies. So they did some big jobs like for Disney in Tokyo. Barnes and Noble, what else? Kohl's, Macy's, stuff like
Hmm.
that. That really, that was their first signs of real success.
Hmm.
And then that's when the sudden death happened right after they were really successful with that. So
I
it was
see.
like, are we going to go moldings or are we going to go cabinets? And they went for cabinets. And so the molding shop ended up just um, making the molding for the cabinet shop.
And so it sounds like your dad's goal from the beginning was to go higher volume, like that was the play.
That was the play. One of the first big customers was Classic Century's the customer.
Yep.
So Classic Century Homes, the idea, this was when my grandpa was still around. The idea of measuring 10 homes in one day versus taking all day to measure one big home was attractive to them.
Yep.
And they saw the value in it. And so he saw success with that, and he thought that that was just the way to go. So, they worked some deals and landed some good customers. And, you know, once the bigger customers hear some other customer names, they start to
Oh yeah.
think you're a real deal. So, you start to work your way up into better customers, and that's what happened.
Yep.
So, our thing has to always been to, grow with the customer. If the customer grows, we're going to grow with you. And that's ultimately why we didn't really expect to do this. We didn't expect to get to this level,
Yep.
but we've just grown with our customers, and here we are today.
Yeah, that's a good thing, a good comment because that is one of my questions for you is uh, almost no one that gets as large as you have ever sees it coming, right? That's never the
No.
plan usually from the get go. When did the automation start, and when did getting into machines to be able to keep up with that level of production? When did that really start?
Really, that started in 2013. So we didn't have a CNC router until 2013.
I see.
So that's when the exponential growth, so to speak, took off, is when we got those routers.
Yep.
Um, so started with that 2013. We bought two 3-axis. They were unloading and automatic loading and unloading
Hmm.
from Styles. So
I see.
that was the first big automated purchase, really.
Yep.
They were into machines before that. Don't get me wrong, but that was the first, big, big,
Yep.
big machinery purchase, other
I
than the
see.
molders.
Was
Yeah.
there? Do you remember the feeling back then? Was there some skepticism in going to nested base, or was it an all-in jump?
It was an all-in jump, I'd say. I remember when it happened. It wasn't too long after they were running them. I was out here on summertime in
Yep.
between school running them myself. Yeah, I mean,
Totally changed the game
it
overnight,
changed the game.
basically,
Yeah.
right?
It did,
Um,
immediate.
yep. And so today, is every single cabinet part cut on a nested base router? Do you have any other
No.
processing?
Yeah, we do. So we try to take anything that we can chop on a saw. We try to chop on a saw.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have to cut a lot of cabinet parts. So anything that we have to cut on a router, we try to keep it that way so we can increase the production on the routers and cut more jobs, I should say.
Yep.
So like our shelving is 10 and 5/16 because that's how wide a whirlwind can chop. So
I
that's how
see.
wide our shelves are, and we chop shelves on a whirlwind still.
Yep.
We are getting away from that, but
Mm-hmm.
we still have a razor gauge. We download cut lists on it, and we're not punching in numbers, but
Yep.
we download cut lists to it, and we chop it on a whirlwind. Yeah,
I see. So the adjustable shelves are really designed backwards from the machine capability, the full cross cut width.
correct. Yep.
Interesting.
hmm
Nice. So today, how many total routers are you running
Right
every
now
day?
we have 5 running 2 shifts
I
every day.
see.
Yeah, so of course, it's gone up from 2, but
Yeah.
they've moved buildings. But currently, yeah, we are at our cutout building consists of 5 CNC routers, all from Styles, and then we've got a
Yep.
Holzma in there and an edge bander in there. So,
Nice.
yep,
And so those are running two shifts every day,
2 shifts every
all
day.
day. So let's. You mentioned styles a couple times. Let's rewind that part. So when you did decide to go with the first nested base router, do you remember why ultimately styles and how has that growth with them been as you guys have scaled?
Man, sheet processing wise, they've been great to grow with. They really
Mm-hmm.
have. I think the main reason we kind of went that route was for two reasons. We heard how quick they could get us parts. We didn't want to be down.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yep.
we're putting our business into two routers to cut all of our parts, we don't want to be down. So
Yep.
the styles parts, as expensive as they are, they come next day. So that was always really nice. They're not ever down for long if they do go down.
Yep.
As well as, machine salesman stuff as well. Who you're friends with and who you relate with. And
Mm-hmm.
they were, shout out to Brad Duncan. He They knew him from before he was with Styles. So before the molding source is a thing, they bought the molders and they tried to figure it out themselves.
I see.
And they were somewhat unsuccessful with that. And they had given up, totally given up. They were there day and nights, and they couldn't get it down. And they were standing outside of the shop one day, and a truck pulled in and tried to sell them some machinery because they saw the dust collector. This,
Mm-hmm.
drive around, look for a dust collector.
Yep.
And his name was David Grounds with Ameritech Machinery. And he happened to be an expert in molders.
Interesting.
And it is interesting. And they invited him in, and on that day, moving forward, he taught them how to run a molder, you know, what they need to have in the grinding room. They had to, start a grinding room and grind their own
Yep.
knives. And it thanks to him, they were able to figure it out, get it going. And Brad Duncan was actually a salesman for David Grounds in Ameritech Machinery. So they met him through there. And then, eventually Brad made his way over to Styles and has been there for a long time. And I
Yep.
still, I'm good friends with Brad now. And
Yep.
yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, all of those relationships and just doing the right thing and growing with people is so important. I mean, perfect example of that.
yeah.
Um, what's your role? When did you join the Madness, and how has that role changed over the years?
So my 10-year anniversary for full time was this month.
I see.
So
Congrats.
thank you.
Yeah.
I Before that, it started with sweeping the floor, sweeping the
Yep.
floor, in junior high. And then it went from that to screwing doors on face frames, going down the assembly line. Um, that was, my freshman year of high school,
Mm-hmm.
summertime. And then it went from that to running a router, from that to doing some drafting work. We ran
Mm-hmm.
cabinetware for a long time.
Okay.
Um, so learned cabinetware, did that. And then into senior year, I started to work with our maintenance guy. So we had a full-time maintenance guy on staff. Um, Still works here to this day. He's an awesome guy. He taught me a lot of stuff and did that for a while. And then, learning the machines, ultimately was the point in that.
Yep.
And then after that was when I graduated high school, and then I got into installation. So
I see.
I did try college. Went to
Yep.
UTA in Arlington for a semester, and it wasn't my thing. It
Mm-hmm.
felt like high school all over again, and I stopped making money, and I felt like I wasn't learning anything.
Yep.
So I gave it up and started installing cabinets, and did that for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
And that's really where I learned. That's my opinion. If you want to learn cabinets, install them.
100%. If you want to
For
know
sure.
how to build them,
Yep.
how to, you just everything works backwards from understanding the install. I
Right.
agree 100%.
Yep.
Yep.
So did that a while, and then we so they wanted to invest. One of the bottlenecks in production was our paint line.
Okay.
We do factory finish as well,
Mm-hmm.
um, and we needed to put some money. We needed to put some money into the paint line, and we started our hang line, manual spray hang line, and I want to say it was 2012 or so.
Okay.
Um, 2011, 2012 was when we did our hang line. And so this is 2020 now, whenever I was installing, and
Mm-hmm.
we had invested in a flat line, Cefla flat line from Italy,
Mm-hmm.
and it delivered at the beginning of 2020. And I don't know if you remember the beginning of 2020.
Oh, I do. Yes.
Yes. Um,
Yeah.
well, it happened to hit the virus hit Italy first,
I see.
if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were shut down. And so we didn't really get the training and all the stuff we needed for that machine, um, or all the machines that consist of a flatline.
Yep.
And so my dad said, "Hey, we got this flatline. It's sitting there, and we need someone to learn it. We need someone to to figure it
Wow.
out."
Just figure it out.
Yeah, so
Amazing.
uh, went over there and figured it out, and created processes, developed all the processes that still run there today. So that was my
Wow.
first real that was my first attempt at really developing processes and doing stuff like that. Managing people was easy in install because you're on an install crew with, two other dudes and they know what
Yep.
they're doing. And, you get to more of the warehouse employee type person and having to
Yep.
manage someone like that. It was a learning experience, man.
I bet.
I didn't like it at all at first. I was like, man, they don't listen to me and all this stuff, but
Yep.
you learn how to deal with it, and you learn how to develop things and paint lines on the floor so they don't have to think. And you
Yep.
know so that was my biggest learning experience for sure. And I got to work with a manager, Seth. He's our plant manager now, but at the time
Mm-hmm.
he was our paint manager, and he taught me a lot, and we worked together a lot, and worked with him for, I think we were on the Chuffla for 2 years. And
Wow.
so it was, I had learned what I could learn over there. It was operating efficiently. It was time to go to the next step, I guess, so to speak.
Yep.
So from there, I started working with the plant manager. Just, out of everything I've learned and seen in the field, and what can we work on, what can we make better, that was the next
Yep.
task, just company wide, real
I see.
production wide.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Just start poking at things and
Start
figuring out
poking at
what can be
things.
better. Yep.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was what I've been waiting on for a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, the plant manager decided to quit. Um,
After you started poking around.
right. Yeah. What are the odds?
Jeez, interesting.
Right. So he left, and we decided to promote Seth up to plant manager. So I
Yep.
got to continue working with him. And man, we made a bunch of changes. We worked our asses off and cleaned it up, man, and
Yep.
some awesome
And
stories with that.
and
But
I assume the goal in that it was just
efficiency,
efficiency, improved production,
efficiency, yeah,
all of the things. Yep.
efficiency, tribal knowledge, get the tribal knowledge out of their heads, get it on paper.
Yep.
You don't want to. I mean,
You don't have to tell us all
when
the
you, when
secrets,
you,
but can you think of a few of the things that stick out in your head over that period of time that changed?
yeah. So for example, coming off the routers, we were loading buggies, wooden buggies. Our routers are in a different building than our assembly plant across
Mm-hmm.
the parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a different building ultimately, and you got to get the parts over there. And we loaded buggies a certain way for years. And basically, it was fit as many cabinet parts as you can in this buggy and ship it over
Yep.
there.
Yep.
We had 13 people organizing parts coming out of those buggies.
Wow.
13 people. So I said, let's redesign this buggy and organize it the way that they organize it when they take it out.
Mm-hmm.
So we redesigned the buggy, and it allowed the router operators to basically load it in the way that they want to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got it down from 13 people to 6 people. So
Wow.
it's a big difference.
It's a
And
huge
that was, it was just stuff like that, man. It was just all over the place. And
Yep. So when you're nesting and cutting parts, are you cutting parts on some type of cabinet order? So, or are they
No,
truly an entire
it's
job is truly nested randomly?
it's all
Um,
about waste. Yeah, we
yep,
minimize waste.
yep.
Hmm.
So yield only in that decision, in
Yep,
the nesting one. Okay,
that's
gotcha.
right. So they come off in all sorts of different orders. So some of the organization as they're unloading takes place outside of the buggy,
Hmm.
and we have a specific way they load it. So taller parts go in the back, shorter parts go in the front. So and the labels go at the very top, so they can flip through these parts and see exactly what cabinet numbers are there. It just made it efficient.
Yep,
And the router operators have time. They're sitting there watching a sheet get cut. So instead of watching the sheet get cut, how about
yeah,
you organize some parts and help out
yep,
assembly with your customer? So that's the way
yep.
we like to look at it.
Nice. Yeah, that's huge. That's a huge change from 13 down to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And so, what's your role today? Are you still poking around, or what?
Yeah, I'm still poking around. I just recently, as of 6 weeks ago, about got promoted to VP of operations. So
Nice. That
I'm
is.
over it all now. So I've never really had, control over the field, and the field being service. So we have
I
a
see.
full service department. We run over 40 vans across the Metroplex, and we fix cabinets.
Wow.
And yeah, so
And that's not install. That's truly just field service.
that's just field service only.
Wow.
Yep, yep.
That's crazy.
So it needed some work as well, and we're getting some work done. So
Yeah.
yep.
Amazing. Um, let's talk a little bit about all of those roles. How many drafters do you have that to feed 40 homes a day? That's got to be quite the
Yeah,
operation.
it is. Um, we have some engineers, as we call engineers. They work on what we call bids. So they take the
Hmm.
home plans and they draw them as basically a starting point for each home. And so the draftsmen aren't drawing from scratch off a home plan every single time. They're starting
I
with what we
see.
call a bid, and the engineers are who produce that. So we have three engineers to do that, and then we
Okay.
have nine draftsmen drawing homes all day.
Wow. That's not as many as I would have thought for 40. So they can basically do 4 a day, roughly.
Yeah, 4 a day. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Because these are, I guess if we look at the scale of the home, yes, there's a couple bathrooms, but these aren't like massive kitchens, right? These are more, um,
Yeah.
I
So
don't
we
know what the
do
term for it is, but like
we
how many
do
total cabinets do you think are in one of these homes on average?
on average. Our average cabinet count is 25, I believe.
Okay.
However, we're doing anything from a starter home, 9, 10, 11 cabinets,
Yeah.
up to, well, Toll Brothers, and those are $2 million home, up to $2 million homes, so
I
up to
see.
100 cabinets.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
you know, uh, one of those starter home drawings could take literally 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The other stuff can take, man, I'm sure as you know, hours and
Yep.
hours. So,
Hours and hours. Yeah. 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 Interesting. So what, I mean, most of the people listening to this have never been anywhere close to this level of scale, right? What what kind of challenges along the way, like since you've been around, right, the last 10 years, what are some of the biggest challenges as you've grown to this level? And I'm going to try and see. There's going to be a lot of similarities to the small shop, right? Even though this
yeah.
is a very different world, I
Hmm.
feel like we all run into the same general problems. And I'm just curious what you've run into and how you fixed them, and some of the big things you can remember.
On a day-to-day basis, man, it's just customer service.
Hmm.
Um, what's different, when you get to this level, and I guess the way that we do things, we're not selling to the end, we're not selling to the homeowner.
Yep.
The person that's receiving our product is not who we're selling to. We're selling to home builders. And, it's a weird dynamic because they might charge 10 times what we charge them to a homeowner, and, a homeowner's like, I paid this much for a cabinet and it looks like this, or it
Hmm.
has this hardware. And it's like, we don't sit there and say this, but ultimately, we made an agreement with the home builder of this is the hardware we're gonna give you because they have to hit certain price points,
Right. Yep.
and we get put in this weird situation of we understand, Mr. Homeowner, but it's a tough position ultimately,
Yep. Yep.
and that's something we deal with on a day-to-day basis, and it's not easy, but that's
Hmm.
probably one of the more difficult things we deal with on a day-to-day basis is
Well,
just we're
that's
not selling to the end user.
Yep. And so in that scenario, though, if they know they have Hoffman cabinets, are they calling you or are they calling the builder?
Oh no, they call us.
I see.
Yeah.
So that's part
Hmm.
of the arrangement is that you're fielding those
Yep.
inquiries. I see.
Yep. And people call and it's not all bad, but of
Of
course not.
course.
But some people want to add cabinets
Hmm.
and they're not even in the house yet. And they're like, hey, I want to add this and I want to add that. And hey, we can't. The home builder doesn't really want us to do stuff like that until the home is closed.
That's right.
So, with just pricing reasons and all this other stuff they like to avoid,
Hmm.
their neighbors going into the house and asking why did they get that and why don't I have that?
That's right.
They're limited to options and all kinds of stuff. Custom is a very vague term. Custom to
Totally.
us means we're building to the 16th of an inch. We're not putting microwaves behind vault doors behind, in a custom,
Right.
all this crazy stuff that custom could really mean. So
Yep.
that's one of the hardest things to deal with for sure.
Yep. I can see that for sure. I guess I didn't realize that you had all of that customer service on top of builder direct pricing too. That is an interesting spot to be in.
Yeah, it's weird,
Yeah.
but
Let's talk about the home builder side for a little bit. What are the pros and cons of kind of linking your entire business essentially to a few very large national players? What are the good things that you see out of that, and what are some of the maybe the cons that people don't necessarily see?
um, I think it insulates us a bit from the ups and the downs.
Hmm.
Because we're not selling to the end user. If it's in the media, if there's some scary stuff in the media, and no one wants to buy a house right now, well, they have some of these companies are public, and they have to meet these
Yep.
numbers, and they're going to
Right.
build houses no matter what. So, and then, there's some balance. They can't have just a bunch of spec homes laying around because then you can get into bigger trouble, on
Right.
a nationwide scale. But, they build through, and I would say that's probably what's one of the things. In general, though, I mean, it's just consistent work. That's the biggest thing. It's consistent work,
Yep.
and it's not just is it consistent work, but it's similar work. It's not like we're having to throw a curveball every day.
Right.
Um, and yeah, there's jobs, we get jobs all the time that are different and that we have to put extra attention on. But, the standard starter home runs through here the same way every single time. It's easy,
Yep.
really,
Mm.
so
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, to be able to kind of set it and forget it on some of that stuff and have them run through smoothly is. You're right. That the custom, the true like you're right. The word custom is totally vague, but where every job is like totally unique, it's almost impossible to get there. Right? You
Yeah.
can't really work things through that quickly.
No.
What are some of the downsides? I'm guessing timelines are quick and firm and
Yeah, they always want
uh,
it faster. I mean,
yeah.
every year they're like, "Hey, how about you shave some time off that lead time?" And it's like
What is the current lead time? What do you tell these guys?
12, I think we tell them 12 to 14 days right now. So
Wow.
that's if we have it drawn and approved. So
Yep.
production cycle, 12 to 14 business days. However, once we set an install date, we are there on that day. And so, like our data tells us it's 99.9% of the time we
Really?
install the day. Yes, that is our number one thing. We
Wow.
install the day we say we're going to install. 100% of the time.
That's incredible
99.9.
for that many homes a day. What
Yep.
I'm guessing you're giving yourselves a few day buffer in there
Yeah,
just in
there
case
is, of
something
course, because we
yep
want to hit that
goes
day.
poorly. Yeah.
Yeah, we could shave that, but now we don't want to risk being inconsistent for our customer.
No. No. No, it's not worth cutting a day or two off to put yourself in that spot for sure.
No.
Wow. Basically within 2 weeks of sign off, you're there installing in that
There.
house.
That's right.
Wow.
And we like to get our installs done the same day. We're in that day and we're out that day.
Yep. And how many people are there to do that?
So depending on the house size, we very recently went to full subcontractor on our installs, but we
Oh,
ran an
really?
in-house. Yeah, we ran in-house forever, but a typical install crew has 3 people. And when I was installing, for example, we could do 3 starter homes a day, so we could knock out 3 starter homes a day. Um,
Wow.
but for a big toll brother $2 million house, that typically takes 6 people. 6 people. The crazy jobs will send up to 9 people to do it,
Yep.
but 6 people on a normal bigger home.
And is that an
And
attempt to still get it done in a day? Is that
that's right.
why
Yep.
yep,
hmm
interesting.
Yep.
So you don't have a single install that goes past a day.
No. I mean,
Wow.
if we do a super custom one-off for a friend in Oklahoma, for example,
Yep.
yeah, we're gonna need more than a day. But it's not a production home. That's
Right.
so
Do you get into some of those projects?
yeah, we will. We will. We
I
try
see.
to limit it, but we make it our worthwhile, so to speak, and
Yeah.
we do it. Yeah.
Nice. Um, you mentioned cabinetware earlier. I know you're using Cabinet Vision now. What was that transition like? Was that when you were around?
Yeah, it was terrible.
In what ways?
We had to hire someone to get it done.
I see.
We looked around for a while, contracted out. It was just big, man. We have thousands of plans drawn, at the bids that I was talking about. There's
Hmm.
thousands of them in our system,
Mm-hmm.
and all of those have to get drawn into the new system, put into the new system, and all the parameters and the machine talking to the machines and all this stuff that we have. We ended up hiring someone to do it, and he's still with us today. And we did it in 22, so it's been about 3 years since we started
Okay.
it. And it took a solid 9 months to really even start producing in it. So
Yeah, I see. And what was the decision to switch over? Just cabinetware running out of
cabinetware,
support,
yeah, running out of
basically.
support. We ended up buying a machine, and cabinetware couldn't even send the cut list like it wasn't able to send the cut list we needed it to send. It wasn't able
I
to
see.
separate what we wanted to separate, and it was just it was time. It was
It's
time.
time. Yep.
So
And now that it's up and running fully, are you happy with the change?
we are happy with the change. We are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
They're consistently updating it. We just installed 2025 this week.
I see.
So there's some new features that they're loving, and they have a new paperless traveler app that you can put on your phone. We're gonna test that out a little bit, but
Cool.
a lot of that comes down to, do we want to build that in house, or do we want to work with what they give us?
Yep.
Because we have a whole software development team as well.
Yeah. Really? On
We do,
staff?
on staff.
Wow. And their role is simply to
Yep. We
create
have,
software, create code, do things to make this all
yeah.
work better.
Yep.
Interesting.
So we have our own web app, we have a builders portal that all of our customers use to order their stuff through.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes into our side of things, the web app, and there's tasks for the draftsman. It goes into their schedule, and then once it's drawn, it goes into the calendar for production. They go in and check off the completion, and we know where a job's at any time.
Yep.
What components are done and whatnot, and then it goes over from there to install tasks to service task, and you can open a job up and see all the information for a job, all the documents for the job. It's our own software. So,
Yeah. That's cool.
yeah,
Um, we do a lot of that on the tooling side too, and I think having a team like that or people around you that are able to do that is so priceless. It's
yeah,
unreal.
there's no doubt. I
Yeah.
think it's allowed us to be it's allowed us to deal with the growth that we've had. If we didn't
Yep.
have that, man, I don't think we could have done it.
Oh man. Honestly, sitting here, I don't know how you did it anyways. Like that
We don't
level
either,
is
but
just it's crazy, man.
yeah.
Um what do you have any big horror stories or anything like during that growth? There had to be something that went pretty poorly, even though you intended it to go well. I mean, you just don't scale to that level without some doozies. Do you have any that you can share?
Let me think.
Any you can think of, or do you try to block them out for good?
We try to block them out, but
Yeah,
it's a good question. I'm gonna have to think about this one actually.
yeah, we can come back to it. Let's actually maybe pivot here. So you talked a little earlier about your role in kind of poking around, right, trying to improve efficiencies in production, and we've actually tried to do that on the tooling route. So when we
Yeah,
met in March, I've actually never really used this podcast to talk about the tooling company, but I'm going to do it here for a few minutes because we've got some cool stuff in the works. So
yeah.
um, you were originally running a 3/8 two flute compression for pretty much all of your nested parts, right? Whether that was cabinet parts or even MDF doors, or do you have a separate? Did you have a separate cutout tool for that at the time?
We started MDF doors when I met you, so
I see.
that's
Oh,
very
okay.
new. Yep,
So
yep.
they were very new. I got you. Okay.
hmm
Um, and you were running at 28 meters, which is like 1,100 inches a minute, which is cruising for a 3/8 two flute, cruising. Um, and when I was there, as almost always happens when you just start asking questions, right? I asked the decision on why a 3/8 tool. Have you tried half inch? And we kind of basically came to the realization that it didn't appear to be a yield problem, right? You could go to a half inch tool. And you also made a comment that you guys like to red line everything, so let's give it a try and let's
Yeah.
run faster. And so that's what we've been doing. And so we've tried some softer grades of carbide and a half inch three flute, some harder grades of carbide to see kind of the lifespan versus the what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of just the flexibility, more forgiveness in a softer carbide tool
Right.
versus the hard. And it sounds like we've found a winner. We were just talking about numbers before we started, but so we're running our 500 MC3. We sped it up to 38 meters, right, which is 1,500 inches a minute.
hmm
And what was the lifespan report that you got back on how many
Um,
sheets those tools were lasting?
we're on average of 600 sheets of 5/8 TFL. One of them got up to 732 sheets with a good
Wow.
cut. So, of course, that's why we stopped it because the cut started looking
Yeah.
not where we wanted it. But 732 was the maximum so far, and that's off the first
Wow.
five tools. So,
And all five routers were somewhere around 600 or more. Is that what you
that's
said?
correct. Yep.
Wow. That's crazy. I did not expect that. I'll be honest with
We
you.
didn't either. Yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't either.
To run basically 40% faster and more than double the tool life on
hmm
average from the previous is pretty amazing. Um, but part of that is because of running heat shrink. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
can you tell me? I'm guessing you hadn't always done that. Is that a somewhat recent thing, or was that a something you started with from the beginning?
No, we didn't. So back when I ran the router, we had torque wrenches with just the spline, the it tightens down on it, you torque it
Yep.
down to 100 pounds, and
Rock and roll.
throw it on the machine.
Yep.
We went to heat shrink, I want to say about 2 years ago,
Okay.
and happy with it, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you see an immediate life boost
we
after
did.
that? Yep. Yep. It's immediate. We talk a lot about hydro holders with our company, but heat shrink the same is for anybody even doing any remote volume. It's the easiest money to spend. Like when
Yeah.
tools start to last 25, 50% longer just because of a holder, it's
hmm
like no brainer.
Absolutely.
Where did that come from? Was that your tooling guy at the time brought it up,
I
or was that
believe it
some
was.
of
That
your own
was
research?
No, that wasn't me at all. It wasn't me at
Yeah.
all. I want to say that was That was Angel, our door shop manager. We hired him to come in and run the cutout department, and we were blown away. It was on just what he was able to bring to the company. He had tons of knowledge, and he made that happen, and
Mm-hmm.
he did really well over there. So we ended up promoting him over, and he's running our door shop now. But
That's
that
awesome.
was not me, but it was a great decision, and I'm glad we're doing it. So
Yep. Yeah, I think you're one of the few facilities that I, am friends with and know that could truly benefit from heat shrink, right? Because there's an upfront cost to get a heat shrink station
oh
and
yeah.
all of the things. But once you have it, man, it's night
You
and
have to
day.
have tools backed up, ready to go. I mean,
That's
you have
right.
to have several already loaded up. So it's
Yep.
an investment.
Because
There's no doubt.
what is the current cycle time to change a tool? Is it like 5 or 10 minutes
I think so. Yeah, it's about 10
between
minutes.
heating and cooling cycles?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a often overlooked part. Is you're not really changing on demand. You kind of have to have them lined up and
You
ready to
gotta have
go.
ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have a guy in house that is doing that and
Hmm.
is in charge of tooling in general?
Yep. Yep.
I see.
We do. So yeah, we want our router operators running the routers, and everything is the rainbow stacks are pre-made, ready to grip. We're all about efficiency. So
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, this has been awesome. I think we should end with this one. Uh, no one, including you guys, saw 500 employees in your future 10 years ago.
yeah.
What does the 5 or 10 year plan look like? Where do you see it going?
You know, I think we'll continue growing with our customers. We have to hold our own in the industry. We have competitors at this point, and
Mm-hmm.
we have to be careful with, we have to stay where we are. We like to call ourselves the leaders in the
Mm-hmm.
industry for this area,
Yep.
and we want to stay there. So whatever that's going to take, we don't necessarily have plans to double in size or anything, but we're going to continue adding the right customers and refining our customer base, and ultimately internally just man getting better.
Mm-hmm.
There's money on the table. We don't have to add a customer, and we can make more money just by
Yep.
cleaning things up. Hiring better managers, training our managers. Um, I mean, there's so many areas to
Yep.
clean it up. So I think that's the biggest thing, man, for me is just make it rock solid, man. Just
Yep. Control what you
I
can
want it.
control, and
Yeah.
hmm
I, you
do
know.
you would you take on another are you openly looking for more large national builders? Would you take them on if they came? Do you have the capacity to do it?
Yeah. I think so. Um, we're currently building a building. I mean,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
it seems like every time we finish a building or move into a building, we start looking for another one.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that will probably continue.
And that building is
So
more routers coming, right? For more
more
production?
routers. That's right. So we want to get into MDF doors, like mentioned.
Yep.
So that building will be primarily used for cutting MDF doors,
I see.
and the spillover of box parts that
Yep.
and specialty parts. We're starting to cut all of our wood hoods and stuff, on routers now. So,
Yep.
um,
Did you have any pushback from those builders on MDF doors?
um, we were a little late to the game,
Mm-hmm.
so no, because they kind of already heard about it.
Yep.
But ultimately, it's the no joint situation. Your joint never
100%.
opens up because there is none. Um, and the combination of the factory finish that we can offer, it is a good looking door.
Yep.
So, it's just a good looking door, and it's hard to say no to it, especially, since the cost is so low.
Right.
And it's the way to go, I think, for paint grade
Yep.
stuff.
Well, it was, not that, being behind the game is where you want to be, but I think on the MDF door thing, that was a good thing because the first time a builder tends to see that is a no, right? Until they've heard it enough, it's kind of become somewhat commonplace, and it's kind of nice you didn't have to fight that battle
Yeah.
because it can be for sure.
Well, one
But
of the things we deal with is we don't have control over the house at all. So and the builder, some of these builders are building 30 homes at once, they're not in the house every day.
Hmm.
If we could install a set of cabinets, and if, it could sit there for over 2 months without any climate control.
I see.
And these builders don't want to pay for electricity for 2 months just to keep the cabinet doors from opening up on their joints. It's
Right.
not worth it to them.
And this is the
So
tech. This is the Texas heat we're talking about too, right?
Texas heat, the moisture, man, it's probably 120 degrees in those homes in the summer.
Hmm.
And if it rains, and the windows will get left open in the home, and now we have a kitchen full of open joints. I mean,
Yep.
we bring it back to production and we open it up and there's grain pull from the glue, and it's like, dude, we did everything we could. It's just, if you put a
Yep.
door into a pond, it's gonna disintegrate. So,
It sure is. 100%. Yeah.
so
Well, nice, man. This has
yeah,
been awesome. Thank you for joining me.
of course.
I just I love this stuff so much, and I like hearing these stories. I love small shop stories, and I love just the scale, like the logistics that you guys deal with on a daily basis are
Yeah,
remarkable. So thanks for being here, man. I'm sure we'll
of
talk to you
course.
soon.
Anytime, man.
Yep. See you, Jacob.
See you later.